Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys Thursday, March 6th, a Patreon exclusive Ice Guys Betcast Thursday on tap. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith with you. Thursday NHL card. We've got a great slate, 10 games, or it's the eve of the 9 games, I should say, eve of the trade deadline. Obviously, we're anticipating a lot of movement, a lot of activity in the next 24 hours. There's going to be a lot of activity tonight, betting activity tonight on the live Betcast, Patreon exclusive. The night has arrived tonight on Thursday, March the 6th. Only available to members. Sign up, patreon.com/iceguys. The Betcast will begin at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, and we'll take you through the entire Thursday night slate. Me, Alex, a bunch of our viewers and listeners. Always an enjoyable time, great company. We really do have a great group of people. We really do. And we say that all the time when it comes to the Betcast, but it's just, we found not only good bettors, sharp people, good, they have great thoughts. I mean, we always see it in the chat every day. The great recommendations and bets and picks that our viewers and listeners are mentioning. We don't take for granted how sharp and well schooled and well researched our viewers and listeners are when it comes to the NHL and the NHL betting card every single day. And a lot of them join us on these Betcasts, and a lot of them are Patreon members. So we can't wait to see you tonight. Thursday, March 6th, tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you sign up, $10 per month to get in on the Betcast. It's your only way to be able to watch it and or join us on the Betcast tonight, $10 per month. Make sure you sign up, patreon.com/iceguys for that. Definitely looking forward to that. We'll look back just quickly on Wednesday. It was a shorter, of course, Wednesday night slate, but we did have some interesting results there as far as the Wednesday slate is concerned. Began with the overtime win for the Washington Capitals. Alex Ovechkin gets the game-tying goal to get within 10 now of breaking Wayne Gretzky's all-time goal-scoring record. And we were all live to potentially cash that last goal if that game had gone to a shootout. But it was ended in overtime by Tom Wilson, who got the overtime winner. The Caps win 3-2. Best bet for Alex with Washington as they get the job done in overtime. We get a split with the over by Fekta in that game as the first full game stays under, first period goes over. Ottawa gets the 4-3 overtime win against Chicago. It was all Ottawa early, and yet Chicago still ended up scoring on a couple of the chances they got in that opening period to wind up tied 2-2. And then, of course, as the game went on, Donato again with a nice goal. Took advantage of a sloppy play handling the puck by Linus Ullmark, opened the door for Donato to score that. He's been on an absolute heater of late as his name continues to be a potential trade candidate with Chicago. Teuvo Teravainen got a power play goal, but as Ottawa went along, they found a way. Perron, Josh North, Craig Smith scored for the Chicago Blackhawks last night, tying that game. But Timmy Stützle wins it in overtime. Wyatt Kaiser just can't push Stützle into the goaltender, Arvid Soderblom, like that. It's unfortunate that it's kind of a shit goal that ends it, but there's not really much you can do. If he had gone in on his own volition and hit Arvid Soderblom like that, it would have been a goalie interference and no goal, but he was kind of pushed in by Wyatt Kaiser, and I think that's why the goal stood. And Ottawa ends up getting the 4-3 overtime win last night against Chicago. A very important 2 points for them because that 2 points puts them in the second wildcard spot after last night, the Ottawa Senators. And it's been a long time since we've been able to say that they are in a playoff position, but they are in what is a very tight Eastern Conference wildcard race. The Vegas Golden Knights, that was the most bizarre first period where actually Toronto actually was carrying the play in the first period. Aiden Hill was terrific, but every mistake Toronto made ended up in the back of their net. They couldn't locate the puck on the first goal where Hertl scored. 2 terrible goals given up by Joseph Woll, who now has had 2 really shaky starts since that illness he suffered last week. And Berube pulled him in the first period. Stolarz played the rest of the game, and you just can't get behind 3-0 against a team like that and expect to come back. And 5-2, it ended up being the final score in favor of Vegas. I actually played a pretty hard third period, Toronto, despite being down big, which is good to see that. Build some confidence back because they are not going to find it much easier as their next game on this trip is against Colorado on Saturday. The good news for the Leafs is they finally, for the first time in a while, get 2 full days of rest. And it's been a while since they've had that. They needed it, and they sure looked like they needed it after that game last night. And what a way to start that game. Matthew Knies, who is become a big-time popular player with Leaf fans. Why not, with the way he's been scoring and playing since entering the league? He got blindsided by a hit from Zach Whitecloud in the previous meeting in Toronto between these two teams, and Matthew Knies decided, I'm going to fight my own battle, and I'm taking this guy on who knocked me out of that game in Toronto. And Matthew Knies challenged Zach Whitecloud, and what a fight right off the opening faceoff. Credit to him because obviously Matthew Knies, fighting not his specialty, but he's a big guy, and he said, I'm standing up for myself. Well done. And that was a hell of a fight to get the game going. Unfortunately, from a Leaf perspective, it was the only highlight pretty much of enough for them. We saw Anaheim fall short 3-2 to Vancouver in that game. Shocker of shockers, John Gibson hurt again. I mean, my goodness. I mean, where have we seen that before? This was unfortunate because, Drew O'Connor collides with him, and I don't think Drew O'Connor meant anything malicious out of it. It was just an unfortunate accident, and that John Gibson's hurt out of the game. Lukas Dostal has to take over, but Anaheim was more concerned, I think, about, trying to take off Drew O'Connor's head than they were kind of tying the game because, they didn't generate a whole lot once they fell behind 3-1 in that game, and they seemed more intent on gaining retribution against Drew O'Connor. It kind of got a little heated down the stretch. Trevor Zegras and Connor Garland, talk about a unexpected fight card. Right there. You wouldn't have seen that on your fight card. Trevor Zegras and Connor Garland, two of the smaller guys in the league too, as well. But that was a good scrap. But Vancouver hangs on, and they beat Anaheim 3-2. The St. Louis Blues, the run continues for them. Great win against an LA team that has been oh so good at home this year. What a great win for the Blues. They found a way to get that game tied 2-2 late in the second period. It was a scoreless third. And in overtime, the Blues don't get a chance to win the game in the shootout if not for Jordan Binnington. My goodness, the saves he made. He had multiple breakaways that he had to thwart from the LA Kings in overtime. He was able to do that. And then the Blues end up getting the victory in the shootout. And they beat the Kings for the second time in a handful of days, 3-2. And don't look now. Here are the St. Louis Blues, 1 point back of the second wildcard spot in the Western Conference. Jordan Binnington, in his post-game comments, I found it fascinating. He said, we're showing everybody that we love each other, almost like it was, as far as him and his teammates, almost like a plea to Doug Armstrong. Don't disband us. Don't sell. Don't trade Braden Shen. Don't trade any of these guys you were thinking of. We're trying to make the playoffs, and we're showing you we're good enough right now that we think we can make it. So I do believe Doug Armstrong's plans are changing because all of a sudden, all these rumblings about various St. Louis players on the block, you're not hearing that so much here the last couple of days. And I think they have been waiting to see how this final week would play out from a win-loss standpoint for the Blues to see if they were going to sell or buy. I think they're leaning in the buyers. I don't think they'll be big buyers at the trade deadline, but I don't think they're going to be the sellers that people thought, knowing that this team now is right there again in the wild card playoff race. Alex, your thoughts on Wednesday's slate?
Yeah, we'll just start with that game and particularly that situation with St. Louis. Like I said, it's a gritty win and a win where, once again, having a goaltender steal one for you. That's simply what it is. We're seeing Binnington play to that level that he was his rookie year when this team won a Stanley Cup. And like I said, for this group now, they have probably the cushiest position as far as scheduling goes. We're going to talk a lot about that, of course, in the next couple of days with guys being moved around, different things, different places. They don't play again until Saturday, and they're right back there in LA. So you can make different moves. You can bring people in and what have you in time, potentially, through the deadline and have everybody ready for Saturday. And if I'm the Blues, I just run everything back. Whatever changes you do make, whatever trades you do decide to make, but you run everybody back. You put Binnington right back in, play the same way. Treat this like a playoff series. You can put yourself in that mindset this week. just kind of give yourself a little test run from that. And like I said, I think St. Louis has certainly has what it takes to be a playoff team. I've already made that wager for them to make the playoffs. I know a lot of other people in our group chats and different things have jumped on that bandwagon as well. So as a good win for St. Louis, and like I said, right now 1 point behind, and now getting to play the same team they've beaten twice in the last, like I said, week and a half. That's a good spot for them to be in. The Ottawa-Chicago game, that was an entertaining game to watch. We both cashed with the over. And like I said, that's an unfortunate game-winning goal to see for me, especially. I had Chicago money line in that spot, and like I said, it wasn't Soderblom's fault. He gets pushed in, by the player, but it's Wyatt Kaiser's fault for pushing the said player. So to have that kind of be, and how many times have we seen that in Soderblom's career too, where for as bad as he's been at times, he's had a lot of games that where the defense in front of him failed and something happened and a goal goes by him and he ends up losing a game where he actually played pretty well. But like I said, huge 2 points for Ottawa, who's now in this log jam. Once again, it's flip a coin, and every night a game happens. There's a different seat, a different team in that seat for the second wild card spot in the East, and there's a couple teams that are gunning for that spot that'll be playing tonight. So.
Yeah. It's going to be fascinating to see how it plays out moving forward. Again, a lot of big games tonight. Eve of the trade deadline. Are there going to be trades being announced and finalized right before puck drop tonight? We saw that a handful of times last week, or last year rather. So definitely something to watch for. But yeah, best bet for me, Ottawa, Chicago. It's a best bet sweep because Alex with Washington last night, and I had Ottawa, Chicago over 6, so it was good to see that. We'll see if we can keep it rolling tonight. All right, it's a big slate, 9 games. Excited for the betcast. I'm scaling back on pregame bets just a little bit tonight. Yep. We're going to do a lot of live betting tonight on the betcast, and I know Alex definitely is keeping a lot of his circled spots for the live betcast here tonight. So let's dive into it, and we'll begin with a rematch of a game we just saw Saturday. It's the Winnipeg Jets and the Philadelphia Flyers. Once again, Winnipeg minus 145, road favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. Sidewise, this is a live betcast game for me. I'm not betting anything pregame. I'm going to be truthful. I'm leery right now of laying a price like this with Winnipeg or betting Winnipeg right now, period. I didn't love what I saw against the Islanders. They finally hit at least a mini skid, a mini bump in the road, losing to Nashville, losing to this Philadelphia team Saturday night in Winnipeg, and then, of course, losing to the New York Islanders to start this road trip. It is revenge for the Jets. Rapid, short turnaround revenge after losing at home in the shootout to Philly Saturday. So that does favor the Jets a little bit. No question about that. But Philadelphia is coming off a real stinker. A Philadelphia team that was playing some solid hockey coming out of the Four Nations break. There was nothing solid about the Calgary loss. Defensively, goaltending horrific. They lose 6-3. Torts wasn't very happy. You got to think there's going to be a response here from this Philadelphia team here in this game tonight. And look, if you look at Winnipeg, the one thing I was concerned about, Alex, and I got myself into trouble with it, is that I thought that the Islanders were beatable, and Winnipeg was certainly the better of those two teams going into that game. What I decided to do with betting Winnipeg was I ignored the series history. And the series history is Winnipeg had nightmares at UBS Arena. They had really had problems winning in Long Island. You can say the same thing about Winnipeg and Philadelphia. They have really had a tough time in Philly. You look at it, they lost last year 4-1 to the Flyers. The Flyers have won 9 of the last 10 meetings in Philadelphia over the Jets. This has been a bit of a house of horrors here for the Jets, but they are 3 straight losses now. They are still the better team. They lost to this Philly team Saturday. So there's a lot of things that point to them, but I don't love the form. The form has declined, albeit just slightly. And I don't know if I want to lay minus 145 on top of all that with Eric Comrie in net tonight for the Winnipeg Jets as well, as Connor Hellebuck won't get the start. Samuel Ersson will be getting the start for the Flyers. Torts giving him an opportunity to rebound. It was not all on Ersson the other night. It was a collective, pretty bad game, horrific game in the D zone for the Philadelphia Flyers. I like this over, though, at 5.5. That is a pregame bet for me. Flyers have been trending over since the Four Nations break. You look at it since the Edmonton game, 4-1 to the over. I like this situation too. I think I've talked about this. I think Aaron's talked about this, where when it's the same two teams playing in just a handful of days, if the first head-to-head meeting stays under, a lot of times the second one goes over, and vice versa. First game goes over, the second game stays under. And again, you're talking about the same two teams here going head-to-head for the second time in, 5 days? We had a 2-1 low-scoring grinder in Winnipeg that went to a shootout. Now I think we kind of get the other type of game here, a little more free-flowing, offensive-minded game. Goaltending, we don't – well, Ersson, I think, will play better, but I think Winnipeg is due for a little bit more of an offensive push here tonight. Philly's been scoring more goals since the Four Nations break. We don't trust Comrie on the road to be a brick wall. So I like over 5.5 here. Pregame Jets Flyers. Sidewise, we'll wait for the betcast. Alex, Winnipeg, Philadelphia.
Yeah, all totals for me. I have some things pregame, some things that I'll be doing in game. Pregame, I have first period goal in the first 5 minutes, plus 174. You got that at FanDuel. First period, both teams to score plus 164, also available at FanDuel. And I'll be waiting to jump on the over by factor in game, just waiting for both prices to cross into plus money territory. Like I said, Eric Comrie, a goalie we don't really trust. He can give up a couple of goals. But Philadelphia, like I said, they had a couple of games where they played well, but I think we saw the real Philadelphia in that last game against Calgary. And if Calgary can get their offense rolling, which had been just flat dead the last few games before it against a team like Philly, maybe Winnipeg, a team that needs to get their offense kind of consistently running back to where it was earlier in the year. Maybe this might be what cures what ails them. So I would lean a little bit with Jets team total, but that's something I can wait for in game as well. But I think there's going to be goals here, and it wouldn't shock me if Winnipeg can kind of right the ship a bit against Philly.
Yeah, there's some good props, too, for this game, especially on the Philly side. Owen Tippett's a good one. Matvei Mishkov, whether it's points or goals right now with him, the young Russian's playing very well right now for Philadelphia. Noah Cates as well has been good. How about Bobby Brink? Brink is up on the top line. He's been chipping in the points lately, too, for the Flyers. So there's a couple of really nice goal and point props that you could take here with the Philadelphia Flyers tonight. For Winnipeg, I think for this game, Velarde, Scheifele, and Connor, kind of, Scheifele's actually been very good, but Velarde, Connor, not nearly. Connor actually hasn't been quite himself, really, and this goes back to the Four Nations face-off, so we'll see if he's able to kind of get his offense back on track again for the Winnipeg Jets, but certainly it's been concerning. Josh Morrissey from the back end at a 2-point night against the New York Islanders. So we'll see if that continues. But like I said, definitely some decent props available here for this one. Columbus, Florida. Florida Panthers minus 310, upwards of minus 320 in some spots as home favorites. 6 the total here in this game. System play triggered here. We've got obviously our minus 300 or greater favorite. Columbus coming off a thrashing at the hands of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Blink. And they were down, if you missed the first 2 minutes and you were late turning that game on, it was 2-0 Lightning already. I mean, that's how bad it was of a start for the Jackets the other night against the Tampa Bay Lightning. So we'll see if they can rebound. It's not going to get any easier, obviously, against the defending Stanley Cup champions, who, by the way, made a minor move getting Nico Sturm from San Jose earlier. They obviously brought in Seth Jones a couple days ago in the trade with Chicago. There's rumblings they're in on Rantanen along with a handful of other teams. So definitely there's a lot here that Florida is trying to do. And they're doing everything they can, Bill Zito at least, to put this team in a position to be a repeat Stanley Cup champion. They've won 4 in a row. They had that kind of a dud coming out of the break against Seattle, and they haven't lost since. 4 straight wins: Nashville, Edmonton, Calgary, Tampa Bay. Columbus with the 6-2 loss. We've talked all year that Columbus has had their issues on the road as opposed to at home. But I do think coming off just a horrific start, Dean Evison made a point of it to mention that horrific start against Tampa Bay the other night, which pretty much, did them in as far as winning that game is concerned. I don't know if I trust Columbus to win this game, but I think they have a better start. The focus is having a better start for the Jackets going into this one tonight. And again, with Florida north of minus 300. As a favorite in this game, it does trigger the system play, which has been, more good than bad, more profitable than not throughout the course of the season, and that is betting the big underdog to score a goal in the first period. So that's really the pregame bet for me there, is Columbus to score in the first period. Didn't really move on the side or the total for the full game. more something I might target as far as the betcast later tonight is concerned. Merzlikins and Bobrovsky confirmed as your goaltending matchup here in this game for the Jackets and the Panthers. So as of right now, pregame, the only move I made was on that Columbus goal in the first period. And again, you can find that at pretty reasonable prices in and around that -115, -120 range. Alex, what do you think here? Jackets, Panthers.
All right, it's another game with first period bets with summer pregame, summer in game. Of course, I'll have all this detailed in our Patreon chat. This will also be readily available before the betcast tonight. So I'm looking at Columbus to score a goal in the first period. So over half a goal, I laid minus $1.10. That's available. I see FanDuel and DraftKings have within that price range. I also like first period team to score first, Columbus plus 195. So that gives you a little bit boost in just team first goal. Like team to score first would probably be like Columbus 1 plus 150, where first period has to come in the first period goal. That's plus 195 over at FanDuel. I'll also be looking for a live goal in the first 5 minutes. So plus 155 is available right now. I'm going to try and get a little greedy and get to plus 180. And then, of course, I'll be looking for a first period over 1.5 around that same time, drop down maybe to $1.10, somewhere even plus money territory. So everything first period, but more heavy on, like I said, pregame stuff. Columbus to score first goal within the first period, and Columbus to just get a goal in the first period overall.
Yeah. And again, I'm always concerned with a team like Columbus where on the road they haven't been as good. Certainly defensively, they haven't been as good on the road. I don't mind Damon thinking first period Columbus. And you're certainly getting a great price. But like I said, I'm always concerned defensively. I have more faith in Columbus offensively, which is why I'm playing it safer with just them scoring in the first period rather than taking the big plus money shot with them on the money line in the opening period of this one. But I understand it's a good price, and I do expect a good start from Columbus. They know that the start is what killed them, cost them, any opportunity to win that game against Tampa Bay, no question. So Terry Edelman, there you go. Welcome into Terry in the chat. Check out his show too, Pucks on Net. He actually came up with a Picks on Net, I should say. Good name. Actually, I told him that a long time ago. That was a good name he came up with for that. But Picks on Net, his own hockey show, very good as well. Yeah, Kent Johnson, obviously, has been absolutely tremendous as far as point production for the Jackets. Can't deny that. I basically regurgitate the same players all the time as far as props for Columbus, Fantilli and Kent Johnson and Zach Werenski. But, like I said, it's very, very difficult not to take them and how consistent they have been for the Columbus Blue Jackets. On the Florida side of the equation, you look at how their lineup stacks up. He's had a bunch of chances lately, continues to play on that second line as well for the Florida Panthers. Mackie Samoskevich, 2 goals in the last 4 games, 3 points in the last 4 games. And that guy's starting to shoot the puck quite a bit for the Florida Panthers. So you talk about someone that, might be worth a shot here as far as a player prop tonight on their side with a little value. It's definitely, I think, Mackie Samoskevich here, who's getting his biggest opportunity here as far as ice time and spot in the lineup right now for Paul Maurice. All right, Utah, Detroit. We've got Utah minus 135, road favorites, 6 the total here in this game. The Detroit Red Wings, of course, welcoming in a Utah team that this year has been better on the road than they have been at home. That being said, the home record has been a little bit better for Utah. They had won 4 straight home games before falling 3-1 to the New Jersey Devils on Saturday night, so they'll be looking to rebound. They've had 4 days off, rather. How about that? This time of year to get 4 days off. They haven't played since Saturday night at home against New Jersey. So a little bit of time to get settled in here for Utah. Meanwhile, Detroit, 3 straight losses for them. They get swept by Columbus in the home and home, including the outdoor game, and then a 2-1 loss to the Carolina Hurricanes in their last game. So they are looking to bounce back here in this spot against Utah. Looks like as far as the goaltending matchup here is concerned, we're going to get the newly re-signed for 5 years, Karel Vejmelka, in net here tonight for the Utah Hockey Club. That's kind of the kiss of death. I honestly lean more toward fading players off signing the big contract or the big extension rather than betting on them in that first start. And I wouldn't be shocked if it's not the greatest outing tonight for Vejmelka. And this is a desperate Detroit team. They need a good performance here to snap this 3-game losing streak. Alex Lyon is projected to start for Detroit, but not confirmed as of yet. We'll see how this one plays out. Detroit's in a funk. Utah, obviously, They've obviously been playing well. They've got the rest advantage. This is one where I'm going to sprinkle on Detroit pregame and maybe add to it if they fall behind. That's going to be the approach for me here in this game. Just a very tiny Detroit sprinkle pregame and maybe look to add to the Detroit position in game on the betcast tonight if they fall behind. What do you think here, Alex, with this one, Utah, Detroit?
Yeah, so we do have Alex Lyon confirmed in net for Detroit, and we also have Karel Vejmelka confirmed, as you mentioned. 5 years, $4.75 million per his new contract. Now the money's fantastic in that deal, but 5 years, I think that's kind of crazy for a guy who's been just a fairly middle of the road goaltender. Certainly not one to move the needle, and certainly not in the range of top tier goalies. But that's Utah's problem now. And like I said, I think this is a hungry Detroit team that'll come out and be able to get some goals against him. So like I said, I'm on there plus 115. You get actually plus 118 available at Bet Online, but I'll play that small. And like I said, if they should give up the first goal, take a trail, and then we can get a little bit more on that price money line. I'll add on to it. So Detroit should get the win here, but we're going to add a little bit more on live.
Just feel for Detroit. This is kind of that cornered animal spot. You've lost 3 in a row. You also played Columbus, who have obviously are a better team this year, and Carolina. And now you get a chance. It is a step down, Utah. Utah's obviously playing well lately, but you compare them to Carolina and Columbus, just not nearly there. Again, playing well. They're healthy. Obviously, getting Gunther and Cooley and Dursey back on the blue line and has made all the difference. But I like how this sets up here for the Red Wings here. They need a win. They go on the road against Washington and Ottawa after this, too. So this is a very important game for the Red Wings. This is a home spot. You got to stop the bleeding. The price is good now because they've been struggling. Utah's been playing a little bit better. So that's why I'm in now at the current price. Maybe at the initial opener where Detroit's a small favorite, maybe I'm not as interested. But now with Detroit, a home dog, I'm interested at the plus 120 with the Red Wings. But like I said, we're going to add more to it in-game if they fall behind here in this one. Yeah, prop-wise for this game, lots of different directions. DeBrincat obviously has been on a roll. Here's one to not sleep on here. We've seen, obviously, our guy, Marco Casper, the friendly betting ghost, often for the longest time, he's been up there with Larkin and Raymond. Elmer Soderblom, Arvid's brother, looks like he's going to be on the top line tonight with Larkin and Raymond for the Detroit Red Wings. So why not? When you're going to get that position and your player prop price is not going to be priced like it, that's definitely something you can take advantage of. And Elmer Soderblom, plus, the prices here are pretty damn good as far as his player props up on that top line with Larkin and Raymond. Plus 600 for a goal, plus 220 for an assist, plus 150 for a point. I think it's worth a shot here when you look at him getting that opportunity playing with Larkin and Raymond. If that is indeed true, that's great value for Elmer Soderblom playing with Dylan Larkin and Lucas Raymond. Utah, if you're going to look for props in their direction, you want to stick to the players that are feeling it. Lately, it's been Gunther. It's been obviously Barrett Hayton's been really good lately. Logan Cooley, Clayton Keller. Those are the players that have been carrying the load here a little bit for Utah of late. Josh Doan has picked it up point-wise at least. Not so much in the goals department, but he does have points for the Utah Hockey Club in 5 of their last 8 games. So someone that's also been chipping in a little bit here from the third line for this Utah team. All right, Buffalo, Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay minus 240, home favorites in this one. 6.5 the total, shaded to the under, pretty much across the board. I am targeting a live over, by the way, in that Utah-Detroit game, but nothing pregame. Just wanted to add that as well. This one, I'm not waiting. This one is going to be over by Fecta with Buffalo and Tampa, and I'm also taking Tampa team total over 3.5. The writing's on the wall for the Buffalo Sabres. it's just not a good scene. It's almost quotes of self-reflection in that, almost like, hey, it's just about over for us. It was a very somber, very, very depressed, type of setting with the dressing room following the loss to the San Jose Sharks the other night, which was a terrible loss. Obviously, they played horrific in that game. Now, Tampa Bay finds themselves obviously playing very well, other than losing 2-1 to Florida. This team's played very well hockey. They jumped on Columbus right away in their last game and scored 6 goals. I don't see how they don't put 4 on the board here against Buffalo. in this matchup. One oddity, though, I will say, is that Buffalo, crazy as it is to say, has kind of owned Tampa. 5-1 in the last 6 meetings. They've, believe it or not, won 3 straight head-to-head matchups in Tampa at Amalie Arena over the Lightning. That's the one thing that you look at that and you're like, wow, Buffalo's actually had a lot of success against this team. But this version of the Sabres that we have seen in the last 4 games, I can't see it. But they've been giving up goals in bunches. The defensive play, too soft on pucks, too soft in the defensive zone. And Lindy Ruff kind of reamed his team out for that after the San Jose loss. They've given up 4 goals or more in 4 straight games. I just don't know how they keep the smoking hot Tampa Bay Lightning team off the board. And a Tampa Bay Lightning team that, unless there's a delay in their arrival, and I don't think that's going to be the case, should see both of their new acquisitions in the lineup from Seattle, Yanni Gourde and Oliver Bjorkstrand, both expected to play on the third line tonight for Tampa Bay. So this is over by Fecta, 1.5, 6.5, and also Tampa team total for me, over 3.5 here. UPL and Vasilevsky, your goaltending matchup. The Tampa team total, by the way, minus 132 at FanDuel. Alex, Sabres, Lightning.
Yeah, that's why I went team total over with Tampa pregame, and I'll be looking for the over by Facta in game. Just, like I said, just kind of picking off a little bit better of a price. Try to get a 6, for example, with that over. So I'll shop around for that. But if you get 6, try and get that plus money. If you can get 6.5, wait for that to drop into the 6 range. So just that'll be the way I look for that. Team total early in pregame, and then over by Facta in game.
All right, good stuff there. All right, Boston, Carolina. We've got the Carolina Hurricanes minus 320 home favorites. This total sitting at 5.5, shaded to the over here. Bruins and Hurricanes. We'll see with Boston. Now, look, I thank Boston a lot for finally breaking out offensively and giving up 6 goals, but the over by Fecta that I was kind of concerned about in that Boston-Nashville game, it was no sweat, 6-3, first period and full game. Both of them fly over the total. We'll see if that carries over here into this matchup. 8-2 for Carolina down in Raleigh when these teams played their only previous regular season meeting this year. But before that, especially in the regular season between these two teams, we had seen a lot of unders. We had seen 6 of 7 games stay under the total between these teams prior to that 8-2 thumping that the Carolina Hurricanes laid down over the Boston Bruins back in October. So we'll see how this one plays out. But I got a feeling this could be a little bit lower scoring here, Bruins and Hurricanes, especially Bruins coming off allowing 6. They're going to want to tighten things up. I go back to that Toronto game where they lost 5-4. The very next game was a 2-1, low scoring, tight checking type of game. And I think that could be what this is. Boston's not the kind of team that you expect with Boston defensive focus when they're off a game where they give up 6 like they did against Nashville. Not only 6, but it's who they gave it up to. Nashville on home ice. If that's not a wake-up call defensively, I don't know what is. So this is probably an under game for me, but this is a pass for me as far as anything pregame. I just don't trust Boston enough, but Carolina minus 320, you got to be kidding me. Not a chance, even though they finally did get a road win. Credit to them the other night against Detroit. Alex, any interest here? This is definitely a live game for me. Bruins and Hurricanes.
No, I'm just fascinated that this is the first time these two teams have played since Halloween when Carolina beat the brakes off Boston 8-2. So it's kind of funny that now they are playing again, and Boston's in, like you said, kind of poor defensive form. So we'll look for stuff live in this game. This one might end up just being a pass overall, like I said, unless something pops up that we like, and it's maybe a group thing on the betcast tonight. I got nothing as of right now.
Yeah, this could be something definitely that we target as far as the live betcast. That's definitely going to be my approach here in this one. As far as any props are concerned here in this game, a couple of things to point out here. As let me just see here, we lost our screen here. What the hell happened? But as far as props here for this one, when you look at the lineup, Morgan Geekie, I'm always interested in for the Boston Bruins. We've talked about that. Here's an interesting one, a little off the grid. Riley Tufte with Elias Lindholm and Charlie Coyle potentially for the Boston Bruins tonight. So If that's going to be the lineup that Joe Sacco goes with tonight, there's going to be value on Riley Tufte as far as goal props tonight in this game. Jarvis Aho Rantanen, who could be moved in the next 24 hours. Could this be Mikko Rantanen's final game with the Carolina Hurricanes? That's definitely a possibility. Not saying for sure, but it definitely could be a possibility. I'm going to go with Jordan Martinook for Carolina. Up on the second line, little adjustment by Brind'Amour, and it paid off. He had a goal and an assist in the win against Detroit the other night. So now you got Jordan Martinook playing on that second line, it looks like, for Carolina, getting more ice time, playing with Stahl and Svechnikov on that line. So I think there's definitely some value for Martinook as far as props tonight for the Hurricanes.
This is a good game to just give the disclaimer to check your lineups.
Yes.
Check the lineups before you place any certain bets with player props, and check of course 30 minutes before when the warm-ups, and they do the warm-ups on ice, and see what the final lines, where people will be slotted, because you might see a lot of crazy movement. You might hear some guys getting scratched. Or maybe a trade even happens before a game takes place. So just be on alert with that. Twitter's your best friend right now in the next 36 hours.
Follow your beat writers, follow your beat reporters, all of them. All of the scribes that follow.
Make sure they're legit accounts too.
Yeah.
Beware fake accounts. You have to give that disclaimer as well, because
we mentioned that.
Every year.
No doubt. You don't want your fake Darren Dragers and Elliot Friedmans out there. You don't want that. You want the real source when it comes to obviously that. All right, next, those insiders. All right, Calgary and Dallas. We've got Dallas minus 250 home favorites, 6 being the total here in this one, with the Flames taking on the Stars. Look, Calgary, talk about how much we are big fans of Dustin Wolf on this show, but no Dustin Wolf tonight. It will be Dan Vladar, Darth Vladar getting the start for Calgary, Jake Ottinger in net for Dallas. Now, look, Dan Vladar has played well the last few times I've seen him. He was great. Remember, they beat Washington on the road recently. Great game from Dan Vladar. Great in a loss to Florida, because that game could have been 9-0 Florida if not for Dan Vladar the last weekend. So he's definitely playing great. There's no question about that. But is his recent great form in these last 2 or 3 starts going to subdue this smoking hot, piping hot, just unbelievably, unconsciously hot Dallas Stars scoring machine right now? I'm not so sure. This Dallas team is just lighting it up at the moment. We've talked about it. How about 11 of the last 12 games, 4 goals or more for the Dallas Stars? 11-1 to the over in that stretch as well in their last 12 games. So, yeah, definitely full game over. It was the first bet I made over last night on this Thursday card, was over 6. I think it gets there. Calgary's always been a team on the road, and just in general, don't rush to bet overs with them. And this is a team that almost went 3 games getting shut out. 0 against Tampa, 0 against Florida, 1 goal and a loss to Carolina. But sometimes you just need to see the puck in and you get a little more offensive confidence, and you're not gripping your stick as much. And that 6 goals that they put up against Philadelphia the other night in the win probably is a good thing for them, gets their confidence back, gets their mojo back. So I think they will contribute to this over here tonight. Now, they have been a thorn in Dallas's side. There have been a lot of close games between these two teams over the years, and Calgary's had a lot of success in Dallas. But boy, oh boy, it's been an over-palooza with these teams. 7 straight overs between them head-to-head, 8-1-1 to the over in the last 10 meetings. 3 straight have gone over in Dallas between these two teams. So this is just a straightforward over 6. I actually got over 5.5 with juice on it when it opened. Over 6, I still like it. So that's where we're going here. Flame Stars over 6. Alex, what do you think? And Stars team total over 3.5. I am going to bet that too, because they've obviously been on this great run of 4 or more and 11 of 12. Alex, what do you think here? Flames, Stars.
That's the first thing I bet today, actually, with Stars team total 3.5. I actually got minus over 3.5 minus $1.20. You can now find $1.26 available at FanDuel. That's the cheapest price I'm seeing around. So shop around with that. I also will be on the over by factor in game. First period over, I'm targeting. Not waiting for plus money. We're going to be just try to get it down a little bit, maybe $1.15, $1.10. So this will be something we jump on quickly. I will pregame bet goal in first 5 minutes, just as a little safety barrier, plus 166. And I also will be leaning, like I said, maybe looking at Dallas first period puck line, But I think I might try to look for that in game, even though we can grab a little bit plus price now. Maybe we can get plus 125 to plus 140 if we wait a little bit. So Stars first period puck line live will be a target along with the first period and full game overs. And then we're pregame betting Dallas team total over and goal in first 5 minutes.
You know what I also might do here, because I really believe in that. Team can't buy a goal, and then all of a sudden they get a 6 spot, and it does wonders for your confidence a little bit offensively. Now, I really like Dallas's team total over, but I can get Calgary's team total at plus money, 2.5, like plus 105.
Yeah,
It's a pretty good price. I think they can get to 3 here. I really do. And they have done it against Dallas. A lot of the head-to-heads against the Dallas Stars, Calgary has scored 3 or more. Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tack on Flames team total over 2.5. Not the money line, because I don't trust them to win this game. But score 3 goals, I can see that.
And you know what? You're playing it pregame. I'll make a note to look for it live and see, because that's something that we could kind of maybe gauge pace wise. If it's Dallas 2-0 early, then that might be a little scary. But I'll have that in my notes. That'll be on my Patreon chat notes as something I'm looking for in game.
No doubt. Yeah, Zary, Huberto. I think Huberto, props are worth a look here, as of course, for Calgary in this game. And again, Kadri, has actually played well even when they were scuffling a little bit to score. You got Frost, Sharon, Govich, and Pospisil, I think, has got offensive potential. We're just waiting to see them really get it rolling. I'm going back to the same props I've mentioned for Dallas. I mean, Robertson on a roll, Hintz on a roll, whether it's goal props or point props for them. Granlund's got value because it looks like Granlund might be with Robertson and Hintz tonight on the top line for Dallas. Maybe there's a little value there. Duchesne obviously has been on a roll. Wyatt Johnston is finally getting it rolling, and man, he is starting to play like he did last year again. 5 goals in his last 3 games. He's on a 7-game point streak. So somehow, some way, Wyatt Johnston, as far as being able to score here tonight and get points. And Thomas Harley, man, he's just been a machine. Assist, goal. I'm going with the goal prop, too. I'm going goal prop. What I have done with Thomas Harley repeatedly is the goal prop in that 600, 700 range, the assist prop, which has been plus money, and I've been going for the gusto with the over 1.5 points, which is now cashed multiple times for me with Thomas Harley in that plus 500, plus 600 range for him to get over 1.5 points. And boy, oh boy, he has been just tremendous, filling what's nearly, you would think, impossible shoes to fill of Miro Heiskanen, and he has done it so well for the Dallas Stars during Miro's absence. So Thomas Harley continues to be the guy that is getting the offense stirred up from the back end very nicely for this Dallas Stars team. All right, next up, we've got Montreal and Edmonton. Edmonton Oilers minus 250 home favorites here in this game. Total sitting at 6.5, shaded to the over. Give me those Habs, man. I am not scared to take this plus money with Montreal, not one bit. Edmonton's got issues. Their only win was against Carolina, and Pickard played an uncharacteristic, really strong game. Edmonton can't get out of their own way. Edmonton's form cannot be trusted, in my opinion, in this kind of a price range. When, look, they're obviously playing for positioning, yes. Montreal's playing for their playoff lives right now. This is a Montreal Canadiens team that has not lost since the Four Nations break, 5-0. Following the break, 5 straight wins for them. And they have given Edmonton a bunch of trouble here in recent meetings. If you look at the head-to-head series, it's been a 3-3 split between these two teams the last 6 meetings. Montreal's been able to win in Edmonton in one of those 3, and the other 2, the last one was an overtime win for Edmonton. But again, Montreal made it very difficult here for this. Montreal, I should say, made it difficult for Edmonton. Injuries on the blue line. I couldn't give 2 shits about the Klingberg being back because he stinks in the defensive zone. I mean, that doesn't move the needle for me. But Ekholm is the big one for sure. Matthias Ekholm will be missed because, when you're talking about a defense that has had all kinds of breakdowns and all kinds of problems lately defending, and you're already without, a couple of guys. Well, actually, they aren't, but they do have Darnell Nurse back now. But still, after Nurse and Bouchard, Kulak, and Emberson, you got Cam Dineen, Troy Stetcher, now your third pair. It's a big loss because Ekholm just plays a shit ton of minutes. He's always, out there on the ice against the best players on the other team. He's always on the penalty kill, a penalty kill that's been bad with him since the Four Nations break. And now you take Ekholm off that penalty kill, which hasn't been very good since the Four Nations break, and it becomes even more problematic. It's just too big of a price to attach Edmonton with now as a favorite, given their current form. So Montreal, I've got no problem taking the shot here. Plus 205, plus 210. It's a great price. Split it with the team total over 2.5, minus 115, and give me the draw too, because the last time the game went to Edmonton, we saw overtime. Alex, what do you think here? Habs, Oilers.
This is real simple for me. Dog and draw split. I've been on this Habs run this whole time. So at plus 205 was the price I got. Plus 350 was the price I got at Bet Online for the draw. Like I said, 2 of the last 3 meetings have gone past regulation. So Habs and draw.
There we go. All right. As far as props go in this one, like I said, we've got a lot of good situations here. Montreal, Caulfield, Suzuki, and Slavkovsky have been very good. Very, very good for them lately. No question. They found some great chemistry and playing well at the moment, no doubt. So targeting them, not the worst idea in the world. Lane Hudson's been, we talk about, I know Aaron's cashed a lot of Lane Hudson props. What can you say? I mean, he's an assist machine. He's got multi-point game. There's another defenseman sprinkled the over 1.5 points tonight, Lane Hudson, for the Montreal Canadiens. And another thing, too, when we talk about this, when Canadian teams from the East go to Edmonton, Vancouver, Calgary, a lot of the fans travel well. Leaf fans travel well to Edmonton. Habs fans will travel well to Edmonton as well. So keep that in mind, no question. So like I said, you don't get these spots very often where, yes, based on overall season form, Edmonton is priced like this, but based on current form, this price shouldn't be anywhere near this with what we're seeing from both teams. And that's where you can step in and get great value at this time of year. In these kind of spots with a team like Montreal against a slumping opponent. All right, San Jose and Colorado. We've got Colorado minus 430 home favorites in this game. The total sitting at 6, shaded to the over in this game. The way I see it for San Jose, now this is obviously the system we've talked about, right? We're talking about a minus 400 or greater favorite, which means I'm in with San Jose to score in the first period. I don't love it in this spot, but I'm on it. San Jose to score in the first period. But the way I see it, look at this schedule that the San Jose Sharks have gone through. And by the way, shout out to Jason Demers, who was on that road trip with San Jose doing the radio broadcasts through that whole Eastern swing. So did a great job there with Dan Rusanowski on the Shark radio broadcast. But San Jose San Jose, you look at the schedule since the Four Nations break. At Calgary, at Winnipeg, to the east, Montreal, Ottawa. Look at this last stretch. Ottawa on Saturday, Toronto on Monday, Buffalo on Tuesday, and now here they are on a Thursday with just 1 day, not 2 days, 1 day, traveling across 2 time zones to Colorado. This team, if their legs don't give out in the third period of this game, I'd be shocked. So that's why San Jose early, I could see them maybe taking Colorado aback, maybe with a goal in the first period. And the system says that. The system, for as good as it's been with the underdog scoring a goal in the first period for minus 300 or better, it's been really good for the underdog against the minus 400 or better favorites. So we will lock in San Jose to get a goal in the first period, but that's it as far as San Jose. I'm going to hope they score early for me, and that's the only faith I'm going to have in them. Colorado, too, another thing to keep in mind is they didn't come out with their best start against Pittsburgh. They kind of, it took them a while to get into that game and get to their game at their highest level, and they kind of let Pittsburgh hang around. So maybe you see that here again against a lesser team like San Jose. They play Toronto, obviously, after this on Saturday night. So I'm going to look at San Jose to score in the first period, and I'm going to look for a live team total over with the Colorado Avalanche, live team total, because I'm not taking 4.5 pregame with the Colorado Avalanche team total over 4.5, not pregame. We're going to wait. Again, maybe this is that just ease your way into it type of start for Colorado, like we saw the other night against Pittsburgh, a lesser team. So just the only thing pregame for me is San Jose to get a goal in the first period. We'll look for some live overs, live Colorado team total overs tonight on the BetCast. Alex, what do you think here? San Jose, Colorado.
Some people would say that there's too many options in a Cheesecake Factory menu, but there's a reason for that, because you can always find something good to eat. If you look at FanDuel, you go through the third period, you can see Colorado Avalanche total goals over 1.5 plus 128 for the third period. You can bet that pregame. Based on what you're saying, like I said, San Jose's legs should be absolute jello by the final period of play. We can already get over 1.5 for Colorado at plus money, where we might be looking at a game that's 5-2 heading into the third, and we may not have that option to bet. So, like I said, that's one thing I'll have pregame, and everything else I'll wait for live.
I mean, situationally, this is why it's a great night to have the betcast for a game like this. I think it's going to be, I don't want to say hammer time because discipline is always key, but like live Colorado team total over at some point in this game is going to be good, especially if they start sluggish. They start slowly. I think it's going to be a really good in-game look because you could just see San Jose just hit that wall, bam, physically and mentally after all this travel that they have gone through here the last several days. Like, this is ridiculous. Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Ottawa, Toronto, Buffalo, and now with just one day in between your two time zones across out west to Denver tonight. And then you finally go home after this. So this is grueling shit right here for the San Jose Sharks. There's no question. And that's why the live team total over for Colorado. I'm definitely going to be targeting that. Georgiev is projected but not confirmed. Mackenzie Blackwood will be in net here tonight for Colorado. But Marty Necas is battling an illness and is a game-time decision for Colorado tonight. So there's something a little bit to keep in mind here in this one. Yeah, good call there, Jonathan. Ross Colton, who's actually been stepping up a little bit lately as well for the Colorado Avalanche. We saw, obviously, him have a pretty solid game for them. I believe it was against Minnesota a few games ago. He had 3 points, 2 goals, and an assist, and he's had good success against the Sharks. So maybe Ross Colton. And I like Lehkonen and I like Drouin. Those are the two I'm liking the most as far as player props for the Colorado Avalanche going into this one. All right, final game for this. Oh, by the way, one last thing I wanted to mention about Montreal-Edmonton. Forgot to mention. Edmonton first period over is on my card as well. You got to ride it. 15-3 first period over for the Edmonton Oilers. So we're back on the first period over, but I'm waiting to bet the live full game over in game. Yeah.
Okay. I'm waiting for first period live. You're betting first period pregame?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Yeah. I'm waiting for first period live. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It is pretty expensive. We're looking at minus 145 is the best price out there right now.
Yeah, with knock it down to 120 or something. I can wait for that.
Yeah, 15-3 run, by the way, for first period over for the Edmonton Oilers. All right, Seattle and Nashville next. You know what? This is actually an 8 p.m. Eastern game. It's just we go in order of the betting rotation. The latest game is the one we just talked about, San Jose, Colorado. It's the second game of the by the way, ESPN doubleheader tonight. They got Buffalo, Tampa Bay, and San Jose, Colorado. It's not the best. I mean, you got one great team against one shit team, unfortunately.
Need flex scheduling desperately in this league.
Although San Jose is not playing like a shit team the last few games. The effort for them has been commendable the last couple. But like I said, it's a bit of a tricky scheduling spot for them tonight. Seattle, Nashville. Nashville minus 130, home favorites, 5.5 the total. You know, Nashville did explode for 6 goals in their last game, beating Boston 6-3. But here we go again with Nashville. We've got them off a win. How bad has this team been off a win? They've been terrible. I remember the last time they beat Winnipeg, and they responded by losing 7-4 to the New York Islanders of all teams. So to be able to trust this team to win 2 games in a row is not easy. They've got one example of winning 2 in a row, February 8th against Buffalo, and then they won February 22nd against Colorado. But the Four Nations break split up those 2 games. So is that really a true you won back-to-back games when you had the 2 wins split up by the Four Nations face-off break? I think that's a bit of a phony 2-game win streak, if you ask me. Because, again, this is just a team that has been it's been difficult to string wins together. I'm leaning to Seattle here, but again, with Seattle, their road record's not great. They lost 4-3 to Minnesota. You know, they're not going anywhere either. It's not the easiest ask in the world to be able to trust them. That being said, they've won 3 of the last 4 meetings head-to-head over the Nashville Predators. We'll see if that continues. They won 2 previous meetings this year, 7-3 in Nashville, 3-0 at home against the Nashville Predators. The Seattle off a loss trend, I know Jonathan has mentioned. They've been strong to the over off a loss, and obviously they're off another defeat against Minnesota. So, yeah, over 5.5. It's not my favorite bet on the board, but you could talk me into that in a game where neither team's going anywhere. Why defend? Why block shots? Why? And you're selling players left and right probably the next 24 hours. And we've already seen that with Seattle. So over 5.5, I think you can make a case for that here. Alex, final game, Seattle, Nashville.
Yeah, this game's gonna be a pass for me. Like I said, something pops up in game, something live, then we'll jump on it. But like I said, these are two teams that are sellers. Once again, check the lineups if you've been trying to bet any player props. I wouldn't touch a player prop in this game at all either. So more than likely, we'll end up passing this one altogether.
Yeah, exactly. Because these are two teams that are firm candidates to have players moved before tomorrow's 3 p.m. trade deadline. So it's not like you want to be locking in player props with lineups that might change in the next few hours if some more moves are made. But Brandon Tanev's already been ruled out for Seattle because he's on the trade block, most likely. Yossi's still on IR for the Nashville Predators. Doesn't look like Michael Bunting, who was traded in that just bizarre trade with Pittsburgh and Nashville. Michael Bunting will not be in the lineup as far as Nashville tonight. Joey Decord, UC Saros confirmed as your goalies. Yeah, Shane Wright, you got to bet props for him. I mean, he's been terrific. Point props, even scoring. He got a goal the other night. Shane Wright's one of the most red hot players going offensively right now for the Seattle Kraken. So no issues there with Shane Wright as far as player props going into that. That's definitely props worth looking at. Shane Wright with the way he's playing right now. All right, there you have it. That's the Thursday card. Obviously, we got bargain bin special best bets coming up, but we do want to mention one thing. We've got some injury news that we want to bring to your attention here.
This is breaking news from the Ice Guys.
Yeah, we have some unfortunate breaking injury news for the St. Louis Blues, and this is unfortunate. He's obviously a defenseman that was there when they won the Cup in 2019. Still a big piece of the team. Top, pair defenseman for the Blues. Colton Parayko, left knee injury, and he's going to undergo a scope for it and will be reevaluated in 6 weeks. So that's a big blow for a team that's, needs all hands on deck to try to make the playoffs here. And you're taking out one of your better defensemen, plays on the power play, plays in all situations, great booming shot from the point, physical. I mean, that's a big loss on the blue line here for Colton Parayko, which means we talked about Doug Armstrong, I think, has taken himself out of the sellers market because of this great run. But now does he feel compelled to add a blue liner and a defenseman here in the next 24 hours? But big news there for St. Louis. Parayko out for at least the next 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's a massive
season, by the way.
Exactly right. That's a massive loss for the Blues. But like I said, now that Sid might flip the script on what Armstrong plans to do, and certainly that was something like I said. If the team feels they're going to go for it, then he's got to address that quickly, and he's going to have to maybe make a move to bring in a defenseman rather than move somebody out. So that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, it will be. But again, not everything's been such a nice little run here. Everything's hunky-dory. Everything's just wonderful in Blues land lately. And then, unfortunately, you get this news. So a little bit of some negative stuff creeping in for the Blues. But, yeah, unfortunate. Parayko will miss a significant amount of time. We hope you guys that are Patreon members, you don't miss significant time with us tonight on the Patreon exclusive live betcast. Tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you join us. You must be a Patreon member to tune in to the betcast and to join us on the stream. And to do that, go to patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. Again, you get goalie charts, totals charts, power ratings, of course, and also, of course, the daily betting cards, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day. Access to our exclusive live betcasts. Both of our March betcasts are exclusive to Patreon, including tonight. So again, to join us, make sure you get on board. Patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. Your subscription goes a long way to supporting the show. So make sure you check that out. Patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month.
I'm laughing because of all the news that's just broken involving the Florida Panthers. But check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. Today starts full week of 15% off in the store. Go to the website, click on the redeem button at the homepage, add everything to your cart, and 15% will be taken out at checkout. So we've got all the merch in stock A ton of new looks in the store as well. Check that out. 15% off in the next 7 days. That's at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
Get to the store, get that gear and merch, 15% off for the next week over at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. And yeah, it is news. It's not earth-shattering news. It's not life-altering news for a certain Florida Panthers team, but we'll play the breaking news bump anyway. Roll
This is breaking news from the Ice Guys.
Just give them that second straight Stanley Cup now. Just give it to them. Kaapo Kähkönen is a member of the Florida Panthers. Just hand him the cup right now. God damn it!
I'm so confused. I guess Florida just says we really trust in Bob. Like, you really shown your trust in Bob this week by flipping Spencer Knight, and now you get Kaapo Kähkönen and Vitek Vanacek as your number 2 and number 3 goalies heading into defending your Stanley Cup title. I just
you know what that means? You go overboard to make sure that that Sergei Bobrovsky's comfortable after every game he plays. Get him a nice spa. Get him a nice, like, all the amenities. Make sure he's got the most comfortable bed to sleep in at night. You go bend over backwards to make sure this guy is in tip-top health and ready to rock here in the playoffs, night in and night out.
What a polar opposite switch from this time 2 years ago when Alex Lyon was the guy leading Florida into the final wild card spot. And we were talking about how Bobrovsky wasn't worth a damn. His $10 million contract was just an overpay. We were saying all kind of shit. And now here they are riding him at 36 years of age, fully trusting in him and just bringing in a couple of bums as backups, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's just I'm just surprised that this is the way they're going. I mean, wow. Spencer Knight, and we already saw what he did in his obviously debut with Chicago, and you go from that as your backup, great young goalie, great promise, and someone that, hey, you definitely know we can win games and we could still go deep with Spencer Knight if something were to happen with Bobrovsky, with Kähkönen, and with fucking Vanacek. No, not the same feeling.
Thanks, Zito.
Yeah. So very interesting. Yeah, they just got to hope Bob, hey, Bob made it through the entire playoff run last year. Maybe he does it again, but boy, you just don't have that insurance policy now in net like you did last year. So we'll see if Florida can get to that special place one more time this year, knowing that the backup role for them in net is not anywhere close to as stable as it was last year. All right, we'll be back in a moment. It's Bargain Bin Special and Best Bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guy sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Tailgaters Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page.
This is breaking news from the
Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
This is breaking news from the Ice Guys.
And we do have breaking news. Riley Smith, what's old is new again. Riley Smith going from the New York Rangers back to the Vegas Golden Knights.
Whoa.
There you go. So a guy, and
All
look,
right.
he's had a tough season with New York. There's no doubt. And he didn't have a great season last year in Pittsburgh. So maybe this is the decline of Riley Smith, and he's not going to get his game back to that same level. But he's going back to a place where obviously he had great success, won a Stanley Cup, and obviously there's trust there. And he didn't, and Vegas, I know it was hard for them to part with Riley Smith. So he is back with the Vegas Golden Knights, and maybe that gets him stimulated again. Obviously, he had a great run there in Vegas. So Riley Smith from the New York Rangers to the Vegas Golden Knights just came down the pike the last 15 or 20 minutes. So there you go. All right, bargain bin special of the night. By the way, Boston Hemp Inc. are great sponsors. Check them out. Make sure 20% off all orders on the site, bostonhempinc.com, using the promo code Ice Guys. Bargain bin special of the night. Alex, for this Thursday, what do you got?
Yeah, let's go to that Montreal-Edmonton game, and someone mentioned in the chat, and that's a good look. I think you mentioned it too, Ian. Lane Hudson. Like I said, he's obviously been the king of assists for that team. Get him over 1.5 points, and also 1.5 assists, plus 520 is what I saw at FanDuel. So 1.5 assists to go with 1.5 points as well. Those would be two plays I have involving Lane Hudson in my bargain bin special.
Third round pick and Brendan Brisson going back the other way from Vegas to the New York Rangers in that trade involving Riley Smith. All right, my bargain bin special of the night for this card. Look, it's definitely some decent choices. There's players that are in pretty good form right now. I almost went with Elmer Soderblom. I almost did, because he's getting a really good price tonight in that matchup against the Utah Hockey Club, and he's on the top line. But this guy's been red hot for the Seattle Kraken. I've mentioned him. Jonathan's mentioned him. He's worth a look. I mean, certainly from a point prop standpoint, but he found the back of the net against Minnesota in the loss the other night. I'm going to think he finds the back of the net tonight against this suspect Nashville defense, which, by the way, just traded away Luke Schenn. And the one thing about Luke Schenn is he's good defensively and will lay the body on somebody. So they're probably even weaker defensively without him. Shane Wright, Seattle Kraken, plus 380. Let's go with that for my bargain bin special of the night. Shane Wright, Seattle Kraken, plus 380 for my bargain bin special of the night for this Thursday. All right, best bets. Alex, what do you like here for best bet tonight?
Yeah, we're going to add a little bit more on the bet cast tonight, but we will go with Calgary, Dallas. First period over 1.5, minus 130. Like I said, play it small and then try to grab that down to minus $1.10 or plus money in game. Vladar, he has been solid in that, but I expect Dallas with that red hot offense they've had. Like I said, 3 or more goals in 11 of the last 12. I think they'll get on the board early and often. So Stars, Flames, first period over. It's my Thursday best bet.
All right, Calgary, Dallas, over 1.5 first period. Best bet for Alex B. Smith on this Thursday NHL slate. My best bet for this Thursday NHL slate, I really do like that Jets Flyers over. Let's go with that. Winnipeg, Philadelphia, over 5.5, minus 115. Both teams, trying to get their offense going, especially Winnipeg. 4 goals in the 3 losses. Ersson, obviously, he wants to play better. He's capable of it. But Winnipeg, I think, is going to really be focused on trying to get their offense started up again, because that's been part of the issue during this 3-game losing streak. Philly's been scoring goals since the Four Nations break, and their offense has been better, and they get to face Eric Comrie, who more often than not has given up 3 goals or more in his road starts. So the total only being 5.5, I think it's doable here that we see this game go up and over the total. Winnipeg, Philadelphia, over 5.5, minus 115 for my bet. And I like, too, that it was 2-1 on Saturday in Winnipeg. Low scoring, same 2 teams playing just a few days later, and often we see a different type of game. If it was under the first game, it's over the second game, and vice versa. So Jets Flyers over 5.5, minus 115 for my best bet. Shout out to everyone in the chat. We cannot wait for the live betcast tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time, Patreon exclusive. Get yourself to patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 per month, and sign up to be a part of our exclusive live betcast coming up tonight, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms: Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Thursday night, and we'll be back in a few hours, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, with the Patreon-exclusive live betcast, and tomorrow, Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.